All right. Welcome back. Welcome back, team. So it's great to be able to do this again. Day 2 of the senior project presentations for our senior engineering class. Again, a huge thank you to Mr. Brent and the team from EDTV. This is an awesome opportunity. I think a lot of you guys looked at yourselves back last time, which was great to see your presentations. One thing that they did mention to me, if we stand over here, the voice goes out a little bit. So option to pick this up and walk if you need to move around is there. Just be careful of the laptop. Don't bang the laptop because these cables are a little bit sensitive. So just be careful there. Also, huge thank you to the advisors. We have Mr. Partridge, Mr. Walsh, Mr. Long, and Mr. Bastoni here today, which is huge, huge help to have you guys here and support this and ask good questions. So yeah, without further ado, I think everybody knows the format, so we try to keep the presentations to about 10 minutes or less, 5 minutes Q&A, and we'll just keep the ball rolling. So let's get going. Start with Colin O'Hearn.
Hi, I'm Colin, and this is my senior project. So first, the problem. The problem is that people don't have access to an effective and cheap learning tool for chess. There exist platforms like chess.com, which are effective, but they're all behind a paywall. And I think that learning should be an opportunity that everyone has, and so it should be free, and that's the problem. So for my solutions, my brainstorming group was my girlfriend, myself, and my parents. We used the rapid ideation technique, which we come up with ideas rapidly without caring about feasibility. And we also used the mind mapping technique where we come up with ideas based on like categories. So first idea was a chess engine where I create a chess engine that can analyze your moves and say, like give tips. And then another chess engine solely for analysis. So like it can't make moves. That's the difference between the two. We also thought of a puzzles bot where it like has a list of games and you can solve puzzles from those games to improve your like pattern recognition. We also came up with a chess website which would just have like tips, and we also thought perhaps we could do an openings bot where it teaches you lessons on openings. This was my my decision matrix. In the end, we agreed that the chessbot and analysis was the best. So that's what we're going to do. So the solution, the design statement, to address the lack of a free, high-quality chess learning tool, I will design a quality chess engine and use it to fuel automatic analyses of one's chess moves through a website, which will help people to improve their chess skills. The target audience is primarily beginners who want to learn how to play chess, but also the Plymouth North chess team, which does need some help. So for my design approach, software, the code will be written in Python. I'll be writing it in Visual Studio Code. I'm using the iterative and incremental development approach. And the engine will be tested before the website gets developed. The engine will be tested using the Lucas Chess software. And I will, towards the end of the project, I will create a website for hosting the engine and the board and everything. There will be no material cost because everything's online. So the criteria, it must be able to beat me in 5 chess games in a row. And it must also give accurate analyses of 5 games in a row. And the website must be functional. You need to be able to play the bot on the website. and see the analysis from the bot. The main constraint is time. I need to be done by the CDR. I need to finish it, and I hope to finish it by the time that I plan. But also computing power. I don't have access to a supercomputer, so the engine can only calculate so far. This is how I'm gonna work towards the final product. First, I'm gonna create the engine itself. Then I'm gonna create the analysis engine. Then I'm gonna create the website, and then once I'm done with all of that, with the extra time, I'll go back and refine both the engine and the analysis engine. The board setup is a bit unorthodox for the programming. This is for the programming, not the, it won't ever play moves on the extra squares, but it is a 12x8 board. The reason for this is because if specifically it's an issue with the knights, each square has an individual number that is assigned to it. It's unique, and I use an equation for each piece. With the knights, if the knight is on the edge of the board, that equation can send the knight all the way to the other end of the board, which obviously it can't do that. So I have 2 extra columns as buffer spaces. Yeah, so that's why those are there. It's not going to be in the final output. It's just kind of a way of calculating the moves. For my prototypes, the first prototype is the one that I have. It's just the purpose of it was to learn how to organize my lists, what I need in each list in the code. The second prototype, I'll figure out how to effectively create an algorithm for deciding what moves best. The third prototype, I hope to use for my analyses, and I'll figure out exactly, I have a couple of ideas in mind, but I haven't decided on anything for exactly how it's going to generate each analysis. And finally, the fourth prototype, I'm just going to figure out what exactly is going to be in each analysis. For the first prototype, I made a working chess engine. Originally, I intended for it to be a full algorithm, but I decided that that wasn't necessary for the intended purpose. It just makes moves randomly from the list of all possible moves. I learned what I needed to know, the ins and outs of the data storage. So this is the prototype. This is the code for it, and then in a moment you'll see me playing against the bot. So obviously it's not very good. It hangs its pieces, but it does make the correct moves. Let's escape. Forward arrow? Okay, thank you. Alright, so for my future plan, the slide isn't moving forward. I'm hitting the forward arrow. Okay. So my team, it's going to be myself, my parents, my mom and my dad, my teachers, specifically Mr. Nielsen and Mr. Hales, who runs the chess club, and also the PNHS chess team, like Sebastian Kazakov, among others. So I'll do most of the implementation of all of the work, and most of the work. My parents will help me with any coding. My dad knows how to code, and my mom knows how to design websites. She used to do that. My teachers, Mr. Nielsen and Mr. Hales, will help me with engineering and chess problems, respectively. And the PNHS chess team will help me with ideas for refining the bot if they're needed. This is my Gantt chart. I plan to have everything done by late February. this is my action item list. I have for priority, I have high, medium, and low. I also have the closed represents done, and open represents needs to be completed. Each task has to be less than 4 hours. And I should be done in late February, around the 25th, if I had to guess. Thank you.
All right, does anybody have any questions? Oh, the chess master.
What do you expect for the average depth that your chess engine will analyze?
That's a good question. I'm hoping for at least 10. I'd like a lot more than that, but we'll see. That's to be determined.
All right. So, actually, you can
Like-
explain what depth is.
Like how far into the future, how many moves into the future it can see.
How many moves in the future can you see?
Yeah.
So is the program like calculating the value of like a piece move, or is it like scoring the system? How is it assigning how well a move or how good a move is?
So each piece will have its own like value. So a pawn is 1, a knight will be 3, a bishop will be 3.5, a rook will be 5, and a queen will be 9. The king is an arbitrarily high, I forget what number I gave it, but it's like high enough to where no matter what, it'll be at the top. Even if it's like you take all the opponent's pieces, and it'll, based on that, if for white, so it'll have like a positive, negative. Black pieces represent negative, white pieces represent positive. The white side wants to get the highest, the black side wants to get the lowest. So.
So obviously the most popular chess engines have a paywall for a reason. How will you be able to provide like the same value as they do without having to put your program behind a paywall?
Well, the thing is, they require a paywall because they're so they're huge websites, right? They need to make money, but this isn't meant to be like worldwide. This is for people around me, and people who want to learn chess around me. It's more local. It's not like all over the world. Does that address your question?
I meant in more in terms of analysis, right? Will they be able to give you the same accuracy and depth?
Yes.
Sure. Is it loud enough? So I was curious, you showed us some code, right?
Yeah.
That slide.
Yeah.
It looked like a fair amount of code.
It was, yeah.
Right. So do you, how many lines is it? Can you go to the bottom?
I think it's around 800.
800 lines of code.
Yeah, a lot of it's for the like calculating each piece's moves.
So how is that code generated?
I made it.
You
Is
made
that,
that.
is
oh,
that what
very
you're
good.
asking?
All right. Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, I made it.
Okay. And how much more code do you have to make? Would you estimate to make this work?
Not much actually. Because most of the code is each individual, like the function for each individual piece.
Okay.
Like so so the queens, the pawns, etc. So and all of that's done. So the rest that I have to do is like the deciding what's best, and that shouldn't take as much as all of that.
And does that code also include the graphics for the chessboard, or is that just for the moves?
It's just for the moves.
Okay.
Anybody else? You guys? Good? Okay. Nice job, Colin.
Thanks.
All right. All righty. Is that thing in it? You're up next, is that right?
Yeah, that'd be great if you could do that, yeah.
All right, we're back with Benson Hess.
Back with Benson Hess. All right, this is my senior project, precision putting. So a problem that I've seen is that traditional putting greens are, they're very like expensive, I guess, because you have to go somewhere, you have to drive somewhere to putt, and the at-home ones aren't really accurate to realistic like putting conditions. There we go. All right. Yeah, so putting greens that you buy aren't really accurate, and they don't have any variability in the slope. And the ones that do are like super duper expensive. So my brainstorming session is I did 2 sessions, one with my family and one with my friends. The first one we did was round robin, where everyone goes around in a circle and proposes a solution to the problem. And the other one was rapid ideation, where everyone lists just as many ideas as they possibly can think of. And here's my decision matrix on what I went with. So I had a couple different options, one being the adjustable slope putting green, one being an attachment on a golf club where I would like be able to analyze my swing, one of them being a VR golf thing, and one being like a smart golf ball with like trackers inside of it. I ended up deciding on a linear actuator powered like putting green to lift and lower the slope of a piece of turf to like create variable surface you can putt on. So my project criteria, what I need to be successful is something that's similar to an actual putting green at a golf course. So it mimics like going to a golf course and actually putting. And it needs to have variability in the slope. So the slope needs to be able to be raised and be lowered. So no matter where you putt, it can, or you can putt on like many different angles and slopes. And it needs to be modular. So no matter how much space you have, you can always practice your putting a little bit. You can have like 4 of them, or you could have 8, or you can have 16 of them. So it's really dependent on how much space you have and not a set space. And I also want it to be easily stored and compactable. Now the constraints is that I don't want to spend $35 on the average cost per unit of the of each like modular section of the putting green, and they can't be over 40 pounds. I do not want them to be super heavy. Now for my team, myself, Mr. Nielsen, and my classmates, I've gotten a lot of help from all of them, and very, very good. My critical milestones, I want to have all materials, all physical materials, like all my wood and my turf, all that stuff obtained by the end of the month. And then I want to build everything, which is stage 1, build the whole frame. I want to have that all built by the end of the year. And then I want to put in all the actuators, make code, and make like a way to control the actuators so they go up and down. That should be done around April. And then the final project will be sometime in May. Yeah, so the prototype, what I have right here, is a 2x2 box. And on the inside of it, there is linear actuators, or one linear actuator, and a hole right here which raises and lowers the turf. Whole thing, all right. So over here, when I press this button, all right, something may have happened when I was setting it up over here, but I do have a thing, you know, the linear actuator goes up and it raises the turf, and it goes down and it could lower it. So here's my project schedule and Gantt chart, all that stuff. So this is like all the big items in the list are in the Gantt chart, which is helpful because it kind of like shows me like what's coming next, like what are the big steps of the project. And then over here is the action item list, which I also find really helpful because, you know, you put in like, you think like, what do I need next? And you put it in there, and then you do it, and you close it, and it just kind of keeps track of everything I need to do. And it really makes sure like I don't like waste time or anything. So, my design approach, I want to spend, or I think I'll spend probably half the time like building and programming the whole thing, and then around 20% of it will go to like wiring and all the hardware, like setting up the linear actuators and the motor drivers, and then testing and research and CAD and modeling will be around like 20-25% of the whole project. And the anticipated tools I will need, I'll need linear actuators, wood, artificial turf, and motor drivers. And I will also, for software, I'll need like Arduino programming and Onshape to make 3D models of what I'll be making. And some tools are screws, drills, saws, and wires to kind of connect everything and cut the wood. Now, with the prototype, what I have now is just one linear actuator with a 2x2 frame and turf laid across it, which raises and lowers it. What I don't have, but I anticipate to add, is a remote control, either on my phone, a website, or maybe just like a remote I can hold to raise and lower the actuators. And there's no hole. Obviously, it's a putting green. You need a hole to put the ball into. There's no hole or ball return, and the surface is not walkable. I want you to be able to walk on the turf. Yeah, so I learned a lot of stuff from this first prototype, mainly about like how linear actuators work, how to program them, you know, all the wiring and stuff. I wasn't really like that familiar with that kind of stuff, so I'm glad that I learned a lot about that. And here is, yeah, so my estimated cost, I'm not really sure. I want to have 8 of these units, and if they're around $35 per unit, which is what I expect to spend, it should be around like, should be under $300 total. And I think I'll be completely done with this project, as previously mentioned, sometime between April and May. That's when I'll be fully ready to be done and present. And my next steps of the project, I've been thinking about this a lot more recently, making sort of like a compactable thing, kind of like this little like lattice wooden thing on here where you can, it's kind of like an accordion, you could fold it and you could expand it. I want mine to be something like that, or at least maybe another way that makes it easily compactable and easily stored. And here's like a bird's eye view of what I have right now. It's like a rigid structure. It doesn't really move, and it kind of weighs a lot. It's big and it's bulky. I do not want that in my final design. I want something that's a lot more lightweight and more easily to be moved and stored. And then I would also like to have an app, maybe a website or a remote where I can control the putting green's surface remotely without having buttons on the actual unit. And that's it.
Any issues, Seth? No. All right. Questions from the audience?
So your prototype looks pretty small. What's the projected size of like the full playing field gonna be?
So it's modular, so I'm hoping to like have it be like however big you really want it to be. I'm thinking like a minimum, maybe 2 wide and 3 deep. So like a total of 6 at the minimum, I think would be good enough to like practice like short distance putts. But like it really just depends on how much space you have and like however much you want to putt, however far you want to putt and all that stuff.
All right.
All right, so I do have a couple questions. I really like the prototype idea.
Thank you.
So for your final design, is it gonna be that tall, or is it gonna be? Are you gonna try and make it shorter?
Yeah, so I do want it to be a little like lower in profile. I wasn't really. I just got like like the tallest wood I could see, to be honest, just because I didn't know how much stuff I would need to fit under and whatnot. But I do want this to be like a lot lower to the ground, which would definitely reduce the weight cost a lot too.
Okay. And for the modular idea, are you thinking like puzzle pieces, or how would they actually connect together?
I've been thinking a lot about that. Like over here, I have an idea of making it all kind of like one unit like that and having it be able to like push together, or maybe like puzzle pieces or like a magnet system. I'm not really sure about how I want them all to fit together yet.
Okay. All right.
So I was curious how many actuators you think you'll have in a module, a single module, and then also you mentioned walking, the ability to walk on it. So I was curious as to your thoughts on how you might achieve that.
So I'm hoping just to have like one actuator per module. I mean, some modules don't need actuators. Really, like, I guess it's up to like who's ever like really wants to putt, and like test this out, on like how many actuators they want, like how like variable like they want with their slope. And for walking on it, these actuators can support like a lot of weight. I think the one that I have right now can support like 200 pounds. So they're pretty strong. And I also, I'm gonna like support the structure more, so it's like easier to like stand on and stuff, and nothing happens.
Okay, thanks.
Quick follow-up, just. So this is on the heels of Jimmy's question about the walkable surface. So it's unclear whether the actuator is actually lifting the plywood or it's just acting through the hole to lift the turf surface itself.
Yeah,
so I was
so
curious about that.
The actuator is just lifting the turf. There's like a hole cut in the bottom where the actuator just kind of sticks up, and it just raises the turf, just like a little bit, like this much, maybe just enough so it's like it makes like a notable difference for a golf ball, but not really like anything too like drastic.
Very well. Well, there's a market, of course, a large market for golf practice equipment, and I've got a friend who built a whole garage so that he could put his virtual bay in. So someone might build a whole building around this thing someday.
I will, yeah.
Thank you. All right, we have time for one more question. You had a question answered. Okay, good. We're going up here real quick.
I had a question with like the ball return. So since it's modular, are you just gonna have one that has the hole in it and everything else is gonna be completely solid, or is like I'm just a little curious about that.
Yeah. So what I'm thinking for a ball return is to have a module with just like a hole in it, right? And maybe get like PVC pipes or some sort of like system where on the outside you can just kind of like snap it in with maybe magnets, or like there's just little like ridges on the outside to connect a ball return in. So like the ball return will also be modular. So.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right. Good questions. Nice job, Benson.
Thank you.
Just point this a bit down. Oh, sorry. No, you're all good. And then like if someone just adjusts.
All right, we're back with a order change. So I don't know. Hopefully, EDTV caught the order change. I apologize. We're back with Connor McLeish. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Connor McLeish, and this is my senior project. All right, so here we got the problem statement. Problem statement is many baseball players at the amateur level and even higher levels have the problem of affording things to practice at home, like a net that you can set up a tee and hit into, or a tee even. And most families have the cost issues and of how expensive and the units are for people to buy. And also portability problems of being able to bring it to the field or bring it, as this picture shows, to an indoor place and set it up. So my proposed solution was to make a PVC pipe but metal type and weld the frame and put a net inside. But I also want to make it collapsible and able to be transportable so that you can bring it to places other than your house or the field. I want to use materials that can be strong so that it's able to be used for more than just like younger kids or kids that are learning. I want this product to be like for everybody who wants to learn and play baseball. All right, so this is the current idea on the left side. It's flimsy, it's small, the poles are like breakable, and if you hit the ball into it too hard, it like flips over. And my idea on the right, I want metal poles, I want some side things and something to go over the top so that if you miss it and it goes up, it doesn't go like over the net and you have to go chase it. And I want this product to be usable for everybody and anyone. This is my project timeline so far. This is all I have so far. I need to update it, but right now I've completed the top two, and now working my way down and need to fill in some more boxes. This is my action item list. I've been working at this a little bit more. I have added one more thing, which is to create a bill of materials so I can get my parts and stuff ordered and all that. For brainstorming decision matrix, brainstorming session, I used mind mapping and rapid brainstorming with my family and my friends. For my final selection, I chose a pop-up metal PVC pipe design, chose it for optimal balance and durability. My team involvement is Mr. Nielsen and my classmates, but also my family, because my stepdad knows how to weld also, so I want him to help me. So this is my CAD model that I designed, which is also right here. It's like a small little design you can pass around to look at. So this is not like a full-size model. It's like a really, really tiny version of it. But this is like my idea, basically. All right, so the cost, I want to try and keep it below like $150. But if it does exceed that, it's okay. But I think this cost will be good for what I need. Thank you.
All right, baseball fans, any questions?
So, with my previous experience playing baseball, I know that if you were to like hit batting practice or off a tee into an L screen, for example, that has like metal pipes on the sides versus like one of the practice ones that you showed with like the thinner, maybe fiberglass or whatever it's made out of plastic nets, would there be a concern for like hitting the top overhang that you said, of it hitting the metal and maybe ricocheting off and hitting you?
No, it's not gonna be like, it's not gonna be angled like down. It's gonna be angled like up, kind of, so that it has a little bit higher like height, so it doesn't go over.
Other questions?
Thanks. Just wondering what size, if you had the size on there, I didn't see it.
Like have her like this tall. I want to make it maybe like another foot, maybe.
Okay. And then the PVC, you mentioned that was it was top on the list.
Mhm.
Is that a prototype? Do you anticipate any problems with cracking if a baseball hits the PVC?
No, so it's like the PVC type, but it's gonna be metal.
Okay.
So it's gonna be welded and
Okay.
put together that way.
Thanks.
Who's recording for Connor? Remind me. You are? Okay.
How much do you expect this whole thing to weigh?
Probably like 20 pounds at the max, probably somewhere around there.
You said you wanted it to be kind of collapsible and like easily transported.
Mhm.
How do you plan to like make it fold onto itself, or how do you plan to do that?
Probably like make it so that you can like take it up, so that it can come apart somehow, some way.
Cool. Yeah, generally speaking, I think this one, you know, is going to lend itself well to kind of gelling up those constraints and criteria. I think that's going to help a lot. And going to the baseball team, and like we talked about, getting the other system, and we can dismantle it or not. Just, you know, using it as the primary reference. So make sure you capture all that, just so we, good. Anybody else? All right. Thanks, Connor. Nice job. What? Who's next? Oh, sorry. All right. Up next is Evan.
Hello, my name is Evan Bocci, and I'll be presenting to you my idea of a Spirit app. So my problem statement was that many students at our school and in our community struggle to find ways to show school spirit. So I felt that there was a need for an easy-to-use platform that encourages all members of our community to show school spirit in fun and exciting ways. I thought that most students will only experience something like a Friday night football game only a couple times throughout their high school career, when there's so many sports clubs, activities, and spirit weeks, pep rallies, so many more things to involve yourself in, that there's a need for that, and there's a way to make it more fun than it is. So my solution to this problem was creating an app that encourages students by creating an incentive for them to show up to stuff. And the incentive will be like rewards such as like a school spirited prize, like a school store coupon, free game tickets, or school merchandise. Who would benefit from this? All the members of our community here at the school, teachers, parents, and students, of course. For this, my team resources and roles would be just all of my peers in the class, you know, especially both the Lambs, Josh Nero, Dylan, Ethan, and Sebastian. And then I have Mr. Nielsen for helping me along the way, and my father as well. And I also have Miss Hurley, who is very in touch with all the other apps ran throughout the school, and she'll be able to help me out. And what a great picture. So my Gantt chart, this is what I have so far. This has been helping me out throughout my prototype in terms of just having milestones, like big milestones to work towards accomplishing. For example, like something as simple as creating my first prototype, work towards that goal, and then something towards down the end of the road of publishing this to the actual app store. And then my action item list is more something to stay organized day to day, week to week, so I know what I will be working on, like during class today, for example, or next class. And some of these include something like recently adding captions or a comment feature, or adding an authentication check. So my brainstorming was using the rapid fire brainstorm ideation. I did this with my coworkers at my job. So I knew I wanted to create an app, and I gave them my problem statement, and they just threw out as many ideas as they possibly could come up with. So some of the things they said were like to add the different events in the school so people can have an idea of like what's up and coming. And then someone mentioned like a leaderboard and rewards to incentivize like actually showing up to things. So, and then another one was a photo wall to create memories for people. And I did a decision matrix, but I thought, why not just implement all of these? So that's what I plan to do. So for my design approach, this is going to be a fully software engineered project. Like Cullen, I am using Visual Studio Code for all of my prototypes. And then in the future, to get it to be able to be published on the App Store, I will switch over to Xcode and Swift, create an Apple developer account, and then I'll be able to publish it in the App Store further down the road. So like I said, for my software, I'm using Swift. Right now I'm using Visual Studio Code. And then full transparency, I'm not the greatest with coding, like maybe some of the others, so I am using Claude, which is a platform that helps me like with all the coding that I'm doing. And then this page right here, as you can see, this is my home screen of what I have so far. So some of the features on this is there's like rotating pictures of school events taken by Dylan Healy back there. And then it just, you can edit your profile in the top right, and you can make a display name and add a profile picture. And then it says your points, the upcoming events, all the community photos. And right now it's 10 points per event, but I'm planning on being able to make it so there's different points for each event. And this is where I would do that. This is the upcoming events page. So I myself have an admin account, so others wouldn't be able to see this add new event page other than me. So I will be able to add all the events that are up and coming. So for example, we have the Thanksgiving football game at Fenway. This was added a couple days ago, so now it's less than 8 days. But then students will be able to check into this event, take a picture, add a caption to it, like, hey, this is a Thanksgiving game, me and my friends, you know, and then they'll be able to receive certain amount of points for this, and then those points will help you like rank up higher on the leaderboard, and that makes the reward system for like maybe the top 5 people will get a free ticket to the next game, or maybe like a school store coupon. And this is an example of me using it. So it is actually working. It's only a website as of now, as a prototype. So this is me at the football game at North Quincy, and I could add the caption, first actual user ever. And then the event, that should be filled in soon with just what event you are at. And then there's going to be a like button and a comment button to add that as well. And this has not only your own memories, but everybody's memories. So it's kind of like Instagram in a way that you can scroll down and look at everyone who was at the event. And then this is the leaderboard as of now. So my display name is Botch, like my last name. And then I just threw some other like random names in there just to like show the display of how it will work, because I'm like the only one on it right now. So yeah, I'm at 410 points, so I would be in the lead right now. And so that was my prototype. But so yeah, like I said, Visual Studio Codes for my initial prototype. And what I will be doing with this, kind of stinks that we're in a time between like fall sports and winter sports right now. So, but when winter sports come up again, I will be sending this website out as a prototype to like all my classmates and peers, and then they will start using it during winter sports games and things like that, upcoming events, so I can get feedback. And is it easy to use? What should be changed? Is the layout good? And then I can implement that into like all their feedback and make it better from there. So my first prototype, it just taught me like what are some feasible options for my app. You know, what things should I add? What things should I add? What things can I do? And then I got better with the layout, and I've gotten more familiar with things I can do with coding. And also just by visualizing my my prototype, it helped me come up with more ideas along the way, which was very beneficial. So my criteria, how will I know my project is complete? When my grandmother can download my app on the App Store and upload a picture at an event without my help. It seems kind of silly, but this will show me how it's easily accessible for all users, because my grandmother is not very good with technology. So I want to make it as easy as possible so everyone is able to use it. And my constraints, I want this to be under $200, as the most expensive purchase will be the Apple developer account for $99. And then for time, obviously there's a time constraint, and I want to be done with my final design by May 1st. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
All right, questions? So we're dabbling in software engineering. Well, there's lots of questions. Here, pass this back.
So my question is, how will you know people are actually at the games and are just like farming up points for school store snacks or something like that?
That is a great question. So as on my action item list, like my very next, this is, so how this is going to work is I, as the admin, will be able to, well, first I'm going to add like a report feature, so other users can like report a photo and say like, hey, this person is not really at the game, and then I will be able to check it out and delete and like reward them the points for that event. So yeah.
How do you plan to host this as a website?
So right now I just created a link for the prototype. So I do have a working link right now that I'll be able to send around. But in the future, obviously my final goal will be to publish it on the App Store.
So I know for my website, I also have like a section where people can create accounts and like their passwords and stuff. But I've been like dabbling recently in like the database and like trying to figure that out. Are you, or I should say, how are you planning to keep track of all the people's information, and are you going to use like a database to store all of it?
Yeah, so I'm using something called Firestore database, which uses like, it just saves everyone's like information in there, and so I have a subscription to that where it saves things like photos of times of events and users and their display names, profile pictures. So all their information will be stored in that.
Awesome.
Yeah, I just want to add, this is, I think, this a really good project. I'm a part of student council, and it's really hard to get student participation in events like this. So I think it's great. Also, a personal question: as an athlete, can I take pictures of myself at events and get points for that?
Absolutely. I mean,
that is
that
great.
counts if you're participating in a sport. I feel like you should get bonus points for that. So yeah, definitely.
So the app is going to be only localized for North, right?
Yes, that is my plan.
Do you have any plans to make it so that any school can make their own like page, sort of like Saturn, how like each school has their own like schedule?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've been thinking about that recently, and obviously I've been kind of stubborn. Like my answer to that would just be no. I just want it for North, but no, I will. If everything goes well, I think this layout will be easy to. I would have like an admin from their school be able to create an admin email, and then it would just be the same thing for another school, and then they would be able to create all of their events and send it out to their kids and students. So they'll be able to use it at other schools probably as well.
This whole project goes, like, according to plan, everything goes well. It's looking like it will. How do you plan for this to outlive our class when we graduate? Is this going to be passed down to a junior? Like, is it going to be a senior-only thing? Is it going to be in control of student council?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So as I mentioned, Miss Hurley, I'm going to try and get in touch with her soon. But basically, she runs a bunch of the stuff, like with other apps, and she knows people who work in the school, because Plymouth North has other apps that get updated like frequently. So if I can figure out who does that stuff, I'm sure they wouldn't mind doing something like this as well.
There's a lot of exciting aspects to this. Obviously, the authentication part of it is a big hurdle, right? One thought that flashed in my mind, I'll share this with you. I'll ask a question first. How do you buy tickets to these events right now?
There's a website called GoFan, and all the tickets are on there.
So you buy your tickets digitally?
Yes.
So there's your authentication because, okay, good. If you could marry those two, you're going to create a great little database.
That is a very good point. Thank
Okay,
you.
very good. Thank you.
You answered.
Another thought for authentication, right? Many apps use location services. That might be like a real deep dive or something that's difficult to code or program in, but just a general thought.
Yeah.
Maybe you could define for each event a radius.
Yeah, I've definitely thought
Something
about
like
that.
that,
That is a great idea.
That could be getting kind of tricky, but.
One more comment.
So for kind of like the admins who would be running it specifically, I know for our student council with the Instagram, and I know Twitter's with the student council, the publicity coordinator, and I know most schools in the area have those. So connecting and reaching out, especially to our schools, and if you want to branch out to other schools, reaching out to them, it's I mean, I think that's the person you would want to go to. I know Ms. Hurley can help you with that, but if we wanted to make this more large scale, you can connect to the student council and have them do that too.
Okay, that's perfect. Good information to know. All right.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Great job, Evan. Who's recording for Evan? What? You were? All right, we're back. Up next, Dylan Healy.
All right, hello. I'm Dylan Healy, and I'll be presenting my project on the effectiveness of tuned mass dampers in pedestrian bridges. So my problem statement is that tuned mass dampers are a technology that are used in buildings and skyscrapers and bridges. that greatly improve the structural safety, integrity, and lifespan of the structure, but they're not frequently used in small local pedestrian walkways that can also endure constant, consistent, and infrequent vibrational movement. These can be caused by large gatherings, emergencies, or any sports events that people are attending, which can be hard to predict for the builders of the bridge. So 2 examples of real-life situations where tune mast dampers were applied were the Millennium Bridge in London and the Squibb Park Bridge in New York. Both of them were opened and shortly closed after people reported them as being bouncy or wobbly, and they were quickly redesigned with tune mast dampers to kind of mitigate that vibration and that movement that made the users uncomfortable. So my solution for my project is that I will prove the effectiveness of tune mast dampers and why they should be used in small local bridges by building one vertical and one horizontal tune mast damper to mitigate the vibrational movement of a small pedestrian walkway that I will build. And it will be testable with an accelerometer and Arduino Uno so that I can see how much it moves with and without to see if it actually works. My target audience for my project are civil and structural engineers, civilians, and anyone that will use a bridge. It pertains to civil and structural engineers because they may want to use tune mast dampers in any projects they build, or they may want to implement them into already existing bridges. And then civilians and bridge users will use them. When they use bridges, they'll feel more comfortable, more safe if those movements happen. The team for my project consists of Mr. Nielsen, who will guide me through the process, provide me with any knowledge, any materials. Mr. Stroh is a physics teacher here who has a lot of knowledge that I may use, some lab equipment that I might use for testing. Joe Farrell and Michael Dagger are 2 civil engineers that I know and I've talked to before, so they might help me throughout the process so I can bounce any ideas off of them. And then my classmates I'll use for any feedback or any testing that I may need in the future. For my schedule, this is kind of my preliminary schedule. It mostly consists of the main milestones of kind of prototyping, testing, and then retesting, and then figuring out if it works, and then changing up designs or not. And then I hope to be finished by around April or May. This is my action item list. It uses an open and closed system for all my actions throughout the project to kind of keep me on track and make sure I'm managing my time well. This is kind of just a snippet of it. Right now it's a lot longer. It's probably 30 actions on there now. For my initial brainstorming, I used rapid ideation and mind mapping with 2 separate groups to brainstorm ideas for the problem of wobbly or bridges that are vibrating or moving uncomfortably. And so the 5 ideas, one of them being tune mast dampers, were a bridge with stronger materials, a bridge with a more aerodynamic design, a bridge with sensors and hydraulics to kind of adjust to the movement of the bridge, and then a bridge that can change shape. And so ultimately the best option was tune mast dampers because of cost and implementation. All the other options are kind of like you would have to build a new bridge, or it's kind of something you would do in the future, while tune mast dampers you can apply to an existing bridge, as seen with the Millennium Bridge and Squibb Park Bridge. So for my approach to my project, I'm going to be designing a lot of it in CAD on SolidWorks, and then prototyping. I will be prototyping the tune mast dampers and then testing them. So here are some examples of the 3D printed parts I've already done. This is the horizontal prototype, which I'll explain further in a second. And this was a more recent one for the vertical tune mast damper. And I'll pass around one of them in a second. for my project, I'm going to need various tools and software. Already mentioned SolidWorks and 3D printers. I'll be needing an accelerometer and an Arduino Uno for the testing, some steel springs that I already got, some masses and weights, and possibly some wheels. So for my approach to the prototyping of my project, as I said, I'm going to be prototyping the horizontal and vertical tune mass dampers using 2.5-inch steel springs and masses varying from 350 to 800 grams. And then I'll be testing it using various methods. For my first one, I used a hammer to kind of tap the side of it, and the accelerometer output data onto my computer so I could see the movement of the bridge with and without the tune mass damper. So for the first one was the horizontal one, and as you can see in the picture, I had a hammer hanging, and I dropped it from the same height every time and kind of got different values of the peak acceleration of the board with and without the tune mass damper. So I'll pass this around. This was kind of a preliminary design. This is the actual one. I just don't want to pass it around because the springs might pop out and I don't want to hurt anyone. So that's kind of the basic design of the horizontal tune mass damper. And then as you can see, that screen is the acceleration values of the board when it was at rest. And so the average peak acceleration of the board without the tune mass damper was 2.39 meters per second squared, and the average peak acceleration with the tune mass damper was less at 1.65 meters per second squared. So this showed that my design was effective in mitigating the vibration of the board when struck with the hammer. So what's next for me in my project? I hope to now design the vertical tune mass damper, which in the past few days I kind of have been doing more, and I have this first preliminary prototype which uses the same idea, but the spring is now below it, and the mass can go up and down instead of side to side. From there, knowing if it works or not, I now have the vertical and horizontal tune mass dampers, and I can start building the walkway where then I'll start building the larger tune mass dampers to fit to that. The criteria for my project consists of having a fully built functional walkway, one vertical and one horizontal tune mass damper that can be fitted to it, and a system of testing the horizontal and vertical movement of the bridge. Constraints of my project consist of cost and time. I hope not to exceed $200 for my entire project. Most of that cost will come from mostly the wood I'll have to buy. And then time, I hope to be done with the walkway by January and the TMDs by March, and then April or May, I hope to have the full assembly done. My planned completion date for my full design is March 16th. And that is it. Thank you.
All right, nice job, Dylan. Questions?
All right, so I get the basic idea. I know very little about bridges, so I've been over many. The damper itself, the thing that just got passed around, that is going to be where?
So for the prototype, it was kind of screwed underneath.
Okay.
So these brackets on the side, the screws go through the board into the tune mass damper and then they go underneath. For the final project, I hope to kind of have the bridge itself have kind of beams underneath so it can go inside without being visible.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so how are you going to, what am I going to see on the final day? Like when you're done and we walk in, I want to know what I'm going to see and how you're going to distinguish between the two, because a bridge is, you said we're going to be able to walk over this?
Hopefully.
Okay, so if we're going to be able to walk over that, then how are you going to demonstrate the difference between with the damper and without?
So I haven't actually considered the demonstration part of it. I do, so I hope to have the full bridge built with the tune mass dampers on them.
But how are you going to show less
Yeah.
vibration, with one than the other?
Right. So I may not do the actual demonstration at the showcase. I might
Okay.
do like a video, kind of have the video display to kind of explain it. Because that would obviously be hard to do because I'd have to take off both of them and then attach both of them and test both.
Or you could build two.
I could build
A little
two.
more work on the plate.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I just figured it would be something for you to think about.
Yeah, thank you.
I like Dave, I am also not familiar with tuned mass dampers or their location or typical construction, but is there a possibility that the design may develop into something more like of a pneumatic or different type of design versus a spring?
Yeah, so my initial idea actually was to kind of have a system of pneumatics or hydraulics that kind of would adjust the bridge using sensors that kind of would sense the movement of it and then kind of move the bridge with the pneumatics. But thinking about it, it didn't seem very practical because of the cost mostly. And tuned mass dampers I didn't know, but I researched into the ways that vibration are kind of handled, and tuned mass dampers were the most logical way. Some of them don't use springs. They use pneumatics, but I don't know. I could do both, or could do either.
It's interesting. I asked the question is to judge effectiveness. Maybe it's if you're looking at a steel spring versus something hydraulic and pneumatic. Maybe you could distinguish that there was a difference or a more effective approach. But yeah, very interesting, and I look forward to the final product.
Thank you.
So, yeah, I thought this was very interesting. I forget if it was one of the two bridges you mentioned, but there was some bridge somewhere where on opening day they let everybody walk on the bridge, and it started wobbling. And humans tend to kind of brace themselves as the bridge was swaying to one side. So everybody doing that had a compounding effect, so it started wobbling more. So I was curious if, instead of trying to dampen out a single hammer hit or somebody walking over the bridge, have you considered creating a similar device that was exciting the bridge so that the two could kind of fight against each other? So one mass is vibrating to try and wobble the bridge, and then you're trying to dampen that out with another one instead of an actual singular hit to it.
Yeah. So one of the ideas I had for the testing of it was to kind of, because I saw in my research tuned mass dampers in skyscrapers. The testing for that was a platform that was on wheels, and it was kind of pushed, hit a wall with an elastic on it, so it would shake back and forth. So I kind of was thinking about building a larger iteration of that to put the bridge on, shake it, try to see if they cancel it out. But yeah, thank you. That's a good idea. I might think about a different approach to that. Yeah.
Yeah, because you've already got it. It might not be. It's going to be extra work, but it won't be that much extra work because you've already got all the tools in place. You're just basically building another one.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Thank you.
On the tools and software slide, it's there was a point for wheels. What would be the point of that?
So the wheels they're kind of a up in the air idea, and that's what I was kind of just explaining, the platform that I would put the bridge on to push it off of something and then have it shake.
I see, that was
for
your
the
first
testing.
idea.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
I guess this is kind of in a similar vein. Like, is this model bridge for this final project, like, is it going to be big? Because those mass dampers are, they're fairly big. You need to make a bridge that's like, I can't really eyeball it from here, but you need to make a pretty big one. Is it going to be like purposely bad, like a weak bridge, like a wobbly one, so that way we can see that these mass dampers are going to fix it?
I wasn't planning on doing like a purposely weak bridge. I think I'm just gonna kind of model existing pedestrian bridges, like in our area, and the size of it, I want it to be kind of like this table, where it's easily walkable, handles, and then, yeah, the tune mast dampers underneath.
Kind of going off of Leo's question, right? We only see like all these wobbles and instabilities at like a much larger scale, right? If you have a smaller bridge, right, are the tune mast dampers even going to really do anything? Are they going to make any noticeable difference?
Yeah. So I have thought about that, but one of the main kind of ideas is that when you build the bridge, you don't know what it's going to endure. So, like, there could be any random emergency that happens where a group of people is running over the bridge or jumping or something. And so it's kind of a way to predict that and kind of have a way to counteract it for those unpredictable times. Yeah.
Put it in your notes. You have one more question? Okay, we'll let the.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, we'll keep it on the time.
I'll try to. Just back to Mr. Long's point, and you've done a lot of the mathematical models, and you have a sensor working. You've read the strain, if you would, on the bridge. Strain is the amount of reaction distance the reaction force causes the bridge to move. I would ask you to maybe just consider a simple beam. Okay, put a simple beam up on a block on a table. Okay, you can measure the deflection. All right, so you've got a passive sensor. Do you envision building an active response system for the deformation in the bridge? Is that what you're envisioning? In other words, you want a system that will counteract the force causing the bridge to deflect in some direction?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Yeah. So if you simply model a simple system on a beam that goes across 2 blocks 2 feet apart, to Mr. Long's point, one that doesn't have the active system, and you measure that, and one that does have the active system, and then you measure that. I'm imagining that if I push down on this beam, some force is going to push back up against me. If you can coordinate that, tune that if you would, right? I think it's a great achievement. I don't know. I'm just going to leave that out there for you to talk to each other with. But all right, very good.
Thank you.
All right. Nice job, Dylan. Thank you. All right, we're back with Ryan.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ryan Sear, and for my senior project, I call it Sea Clear. It's an anti-fog scuba diving mask. So for my problem statement, scuba divers often face the challenge of their mask fogging. This happens when the warm, moist air created from your eye area that's under the mask meets with the cold surface that's created on the lenses from the cold water. This happens more commonly diving in our area in the Northeast. This causes poor visibility underwater, and it's a big safety concern. And it also would reduce your enjoyment while diving if you can't take everything in, see everything that you're down there for in a short period of time. My goal is to design a scuba diving mask that prevents fog, ensures clear visibility and safety during dives. So for my solution overview, I want to design a 3D print, design and 3D print a scuba diving mask with a built-in heating element in the lens area to prevent condensation. The mask will stay clear throughout the dive, keeping the inner surface slightly warm. It will be comfortable, waterproof, rechargeable, and it will focus on safety as well as usability for divers. So target audience. Recreational scuba divers, just your everyday person who just likes to go out there and have fun. Professional divers and marine researchers and rescue teams. So rescue teams is a big one because in order to clear the fog out of your mask, it's called clearing your mask, where you let a little bit of water in, you swish it around, and then you blow air out with your nose to clear out the water. That requires, usually, unless you're like really experienced, it requires 2 hands to do that. And if you're maybe if you're working for a rescue team, you might need your hands to rescue someone, or if you're working underwater, maybe fixing something, you need to use your hands, and needing to clear your mask could be a big problem that you could run into. Underwater photographers as well, because you're using your hands a lot, dive instructors and students as well. Solutions brainstorming, I use mind mapping with Liam. Basically, mind mapping is where you come up with ideas and you branch other ideas off of that. We came up with a lot of different heating methods and additions like removable lenses that could help for cleaning it out. The scamper technique I did with my father. He's also a certified scuba diver, and I came up with possible additions like a sensor to recognize the heat that's going on in the mask. The people involved. So Mr. Nielsen, he has a lot of experience with electrical engineering, and wiring my project's going to be a big challenge for me because I have no real background in that. Wayne, he's the owner of the Divers Market in Plymouth, Massachusetts. He could help me resource materials and reserve testing time. Teresa is my dive instructor and Liam's dive instructor as well. When you get certified, you go do test dives in the pool or Morton Pond, and with her help, I could maybe just tag along and get some time in the pool to test my product. My father, for feedback, and Liam and Oliver will maybe go with me to help me test it and carry around all the gear, and it should be a good time. Design approach. I brainstormed and sketched multiple different heated frame concepts. I selected nichrome wire, which is similar to like the anti-fog on the back of your car, the back windshield. I want it to be powered by a 12-volt battery. 12 volts kind of a lot, but I need it to last for a long duration, preferably in later slides I said about a half an hour. Use PETG or PLA for durability and waterproofing. 3D printed prototypes, so testing wire routing and the heat output. Designed for user safety, insulated wire paths, temperature limits, and waterproofing. Obviously, there's a big risk with having electronics underwater, and that's part of my main design is I want to make sure that it is airtight and there's no water getting into anything. And yeah, it needs to be able to survive cold water as well, because I like to dive around here as well. So tools and software. Software is Onshape. Oh, yeah, Onshape. Onshape's my favorite CAD to use. It's very simple. Flash print for slicing and the bamboo slicer, and then Google Sheets for my bill of materials, action item list, and for my Gantt chart. Tools, 3D printer for making prototypes, as well as the frame that I've 3D printed here. This is the Scuba Pro D-Mask, which is known for having a good field of view when scuba diving, and I kind of wanted to base my project off of that. Multimeter for measuring all the voltages going on, and heat shrink tubing to make sure all my wires are waterproofed, and wiring battery, the nichrome wires, the actual heating method, and marine grade silicone sealant around all the joints to just make sure everything is safe from getting any water in. That's the one on the top is my first CAD model. That's just me playing around trying to make a frame, and then on the bottom right that's based off of the measurements of the D-Mask, the Scuba Pro. So prototyping plan. Prototype 1's just printing and PLA testing for comfort and size, which is about where I'm at right now. Prototype 2, I want to add heating wire and test for the fog prevention. This doesn't need to be like in the water yet. And then prototype 3, I want to make it fully waterproof, and I want to be able to test it in the pool or in the pond. Accomplishments: complete the CAD frame. That's about where I'm at. Printed a non-functional prototype, so that will be soon because I need to create a strap as well. And then identify the battery placement challenge, so I need to know if I'm gonna put it near your head or if I'm gonna have it go down to like maybe your waist or connect to your buoyancy control device that's on your back. Estimated cost totals around 116. That's just kind of right now without really getting into it yet. I don't know if I'm gonna need additional parts, especially if I make some mistakes, which could definitely happen. So I need the PLA filament, the heating wire, battery pack, which could be more expensive depending on which route I take. Waterproof sealant, silicone gaskets, just like here, making sure everything's all waterproof. The mask skirt, which is this part right here, the rubber part that attaches to your face, and then the strap and lenses. So for design criteria, I wanted to be able to heat the mask and prevent fogging using the nichrome wire. That's kind of just the basic goal I want to meet. I want it to run on the 12-volt battery power system safely and reliably. I want even heat distribution across the whole mask, so there's not like some parts fogging up and some parts not fogging up. Lightweight and comfortable for the user while diving. I don't want like too much electronics going on near your head that maybe could make the weight feel lopsided, especially when you're underwater and you reach neutral buoyancy. You feel every bit of weight that's on you, and if it's off balance, it could get in the way. Water-resistant electrical connections to avoid shorts. That's a big risk, and electronics underwater. And easy to activate. I want to incorporate a switch to turn it on and off, because when you first start your dive, that surface of the lenses could maybe not reach a temperature that would cause the mask to fog yet, and if you want to keep the battery for a little bit longer, then a button would be optimal. And then I want it to operate for at least 30 minutes, as previously stated. Design constraints: power limitations, so yeah, it must be on 12 volts. Material limits: 3D printed frame. That's kind of part of my project. I want to incorporate the 3D printed aspect. Just not like I'm buying a brand new mask and throwing on some wires. I want it to be like 3D printed in, and partly from my brain is going into the design of the mask itself and not just the heated solution. Material safety: no exposed wires. Don't want anyone getting electrocuted. Size constraints, so it must fit in with the standard scuba diving mask dimensions. And then waterproofing must be sealed, and the budget constraint is around $250. I know previously stated I said around 116, but it's going to cost money to get in the water and test it, and I might run into problems where I might need to purchase more lenses, or maybe reprint some products, or have to buy a new skirt. This is my action item list. I have different columns for priorities, the open and closed status as well, and this is my underdeveloped Gantt chart. And then I have my due date. I plan to be done by the end of April. If I had to guess, I said April 22nd specifically, just to leave like some of May to actually go in the water and test my product, because May is the main month that the divers market is usually in the pond. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Good job with the criteria and constraints.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice.
So, for charging, would you do something like a plug-in, or would you go a more safe route and have it like wireless so you can fully insulate it?
I was thinking plugging it in, most likely, but I haven't really looked into much of like how I'm gonna power it.
So you said you were gonna make it out of a lot of materials like PETG or PL or ABS that are UV resistant but not necessarily heat resistant. I've worked with nichrome wire as like a foam cutter, and it's not very high amperage. It's like 1 amp, but it's a lot of volts. And I'm just kind of wondering with all the heat, how are you going to insulate it? Because like in our car windows, they're glass for the reason of melting, and then how else are you going to keep it from not melting your lens goggles? And
if there's a safety risk of the wire overheating and melting and falling in towards your
Yeah.
face.
Yeah, so that's all something I need to work out. Obviously, my initial goal of having the frame, a 3D printed material might have to go out the window to reach my overall goal of the project. But yeah, I understand what you're saying. There is definitely a risk with the nichrome wire, and I'm gonna need to figure out how I'm gonna reduce the voltage to just where I need it to be to reduce the fog. It doesn't really need to be too much. So, yeah, thank you.
So I know you mentioned that you wanted to have 3D printed lenses, or not lenses, sorry, frames for your goggles. And I wanted to know, is that something you could like switch out, or are you gonna make that modular? Is there gonna be some sort of way to take it off?
So I was originally thinking about making it like modular, like you said, but like, for example, the frames that I modeled after for the Scuba Pro D-Mask are module, and on their website you could buy like different kinds, like different colorways that suit your preference. But I'm thinking of just keeping it the same for now. But that might be something that I add along the road.
All right, cool.
Well, from personal experience, I have like a watch that's rated to go like 60 meters underwater, and I know that one of the big challenges of creating that was the buttons being able to be pressed underwater and not letting any water leak into the system and still letting the current pass through. I'm always wondering if you have any plan for that specific problem.
So for the button, that was also something that might be just an addition. But I also do have experience with waterproof watches. Like as a scuba diver, I have a dive watch, and there is ways you can incorporate buttons. Like they don't have to be specifically like you press it down like all the way. It could just be like a touch. Yeah. Does that answer your question? Thank you. Yeah.
So one of the things that crossed my mind, and I'll share this with you, you need to understand the fogging process. Okay, what causes the fogging and how it happens. So you have a great opportunity because your classroom door opens right to the courtyard. So I'm just going to share this with you. What came up in my mind, if I was working with you as a partner, I might try to find a store model dummy, the head, and I might want to find a way to cause the surface of it to be warmer or cooler. And then I want to put my dive mask with a little bit of moisture in it on that dummy's head and bring it outside and see if I can make it fog up. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I would want to understand how that fogging process works.
Yeah,
and then you're going to wait till April to test it, and that's not tenable. So what this dummy would allow you to do is it would allow you to test it as well. It would allow you to test your heating mechanism. Once you understood how to make it fog up, then you could use your device to make it unfog. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, good. So, think about that. Just, and I offer that advice to anybody that's working on a project. What's your test bench look like, and can it save you a lot of time? Because by putting some effort into that, it can save you a lot of time on the back, on the middle end.
Yeah, I think there's definitely some more research to go into what actually causes the fogging and how much like electricity I'm gonna need to reduce it for sure.
Right, you have to be able to create the problem in the classroom first, because the problem creates right away as soon as you get in the water. As you know, you're like,
Yeah,
oh, look,
exactly.
this is full. This is full. My question is, so you said you were going to heat the frames,
Yeah.
right, to make it not fog, but you're using that wire like in the rear window defogger of a car type thing, so we'll actually have that wire. You're picturing wire running across the glass, or you're just heating up the glass. And you're heating up the rim, and then you're assuming it's gonna clear the whole thing.
So I don't know if I can zoom in, but that picture is, I think someone did something similar to like some goggles that they were using for something. And I think that I would still be able to reach my goal of just reducing the fog with just the thin wire along the frame without like obstructing your vision.
Okay. Okay, yeah, no, that's, I just, all I'm thinking of is I know, like, I've had old cars in the past, and, the back window, it starts to go, and if one line starts to go, you'll see like a little, you know what I mean? You'll see a little
Yeah.
piece of fog in the middle of the window. And as you know, the mass fog up 100 times faster than a car window. I mean, you
Yeah.
put the thing on, and it's good, and then if you don't spit in it,
Exactly.
it ends up all fogged up. So I'm just saying is, I'm just concerned about, like, you can heat that frame up, but you can't get, it might not get the middle of the glass. And then the other problem, as somebody else pointed out, is we're heating these frames up really hot. Now we're down there, and the thing starts to come apart. Then you're going to have a real problem.
Yeah.
So just some things to consider, I guess.
Yeah, and as I said, one of my goals to reach was to prevent hot spots. So as you were saying, like some spots that are way too hot, but that also is referring to spots that aren't defogging. Yeah.
So you talked about safety a bunch, that you want to avoid a short or, salt water getting in and shorting things out. But I think you also need to ask what happens if that happens, and how you can design it so that in the event of a failure, it either shuts off automatically or, there's some sort of extra circuitry that prevents further damage or further injury in the event of a failure.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. It is definitely a huge risk just having electronics underwater. But I like with previous research, 12 volts is about where the cutoff is to having a risk. Liam's got one. No.
All right, you'll put it in the feedback. Yeah, great job, Ryan.
Thank you.
All right, we are back with Bryson.
All right. So my name is Bryson Coombe, and for my senior capstone project, my problem statement is that there's a bunch of people around the world that use drones, and majority of the time they're for like big group projects or like surveillance, and the battery life on these drones aren't very long, and you'd often have to change the battery just to keep it in the air for long periods of time. So my solution for this is to create a drone charging station that will charge the drone automatically. It'll connect to the base, and it'll use solar to charge the battery, which will then charge the drone's battery. And from research, I learned that solar is easiest for portability, since it's like easy to move around, and yeah. My criteria for this is that it'll be easy to travel. It'll use a charge controller, which I'm going to make for protection for the battery, and it'll keep a drone in the air during the job. And I actually have a question on here, and I don't know how many drones I need yet, but I'll figure that out. So my constraints for this project, that'll cost less than $200. Not sure if that'll include the drones or not yet, because I don't know how many I need. But I want it to be under 30 pounds, so it'll be easy to move around. and I don't want the battery to under or overcharge. So my target audience for this would be people in the surveillance category, which include land surveys, pipelines, solar farms, wind farms, and large-scale mapping. And some of my team resources would be Mr. Bastoni, Mr. Collier, and Mr. Nilsson, and they'll all be great help on this and will help me improve my project, help keep me on track, and provide feedback for my project plan and any issues along the way. So my current schedule right now is mostly like milestones, and I have a couple that I'll use to keep myself on track. And my action item list, there's just a couple that I'm currently on, and I'll use these to keep track of myself over time. And my next steps after this would be to find the most efficient way to charge the drone automatically. And I haven't figured out too much about this. I know one idea was like maybe it charging off of the feet of the drone, but that'd be a little complicated. And the last thing I'd make is the case for the station itself. So my brainstorming process, I worked with my classmates, Mr. Nielsen, and my dad. My dad's in the construction field, and he has connections with some people who install the solar panels, and he helped figure out if my first original idea of where the solar panel on the drone would even be possible, but we figured out that it probably wouldn't have enough power just to keep the drone in the air and charge the battery. And Mr. Nielsen and a classmate, which is Sean, came up with the idea of using a charging station where it's on the ground and the solar energy will be transferred into a battery, and that'll hold the energy until the battery will charge the drone's battery. And then my last decision would be deciding how many drones I need. Yeah, so my approach for this project was to make the charge controller out of Arduino parts, and I'm currently on this. I have some parts, and I'm gonna build with a breadboard that does not require soldering. And yeah, with the guide, I found someone who made one on a video, and it looks pretty similar to what I'm doing, and I think I could modify that or use that to make my project work. And the last part would be to learn more about how it'll charge automatically. So these are the tools I'll be using. I have the solar panel to collect energy, the battery, which will store the energy for the drone's battery, a drone itself, and then 3D printed material and electrical components. So I plan to use a software to code the charge controller. I haven't really gone into too much depth with this, mainly focusing on my prototype. And but this will ensure that the battery doesn't overcharge or undercharge, and it'll measure the voltage levels and the speed of the charge. So my prototype plan is to build the charge controller itself, which I'm working on, and have the solar panel connect to that charge controller, and that charge controller will regulate all the power that will be transferred into the 12-volt battery, and that'll go to the drone after. And that's That's it.
Questions?
Okay, so you're going to be, you wrote that you're going to be charging it while it's in the air, right? So in other words, your goal is to just keep this thing flying indefinitely? Or
So I want the drones to charge on the ground.
on the ground?
It's going to be like on this charging station.
All right, so they're going to, so one drone's flying around, then it's going to land and charge, and the other one takes off, is that?
Yeah.
And you're going to automate that, or you just, or two people are going to be flying two separate drones?
No, I'm going to try and automate that.
All right, so like one lands and the other one takes off, you're still using the same controller? Or, oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, like the charge controller will be in the base.
Oh, okay, all right, cool. And so it'll actually, the controller could fly two separate drones, one controller. All right. And my other concern is just with those batteries, you know, once you use them, you know that they're super hot, because we just drained them. And then you also know that when you charge them when they're hot, that takes the life right out of them. You know, and I mean, you'll charge it up. You know what I mean? After a month or so, those batteries are no longer as happy as they used to be. And we all want happy batteries. So, so that's all. I'm just thinking that might be a concern because basically it's landing and plugging into a charger. It's shutting off and charging immediately, and that might really shorten the life of the battery. I don't know if you're planning anything on that or if that's just a casualty of the whole project. I'm just not sure. But I'm just throwing those out as comments.
Okay, yeah. I'll think more about that, but thank you.
So, will you need to use a special drone? Like, will you be designing your own special drone for this docking system, or can you use any drone on the market?
I think I could just find any drone, but I'm still like trying to figure out like how much power this drone's gonna need or like other requirements like that.
Okay, got it.
So Bryson, and we might have talked about this before, but it's worth revisiting. You've got a nice start to a project here by building the charging system. So concentrate on that, okay? And one of the things you want to do is you want to ask a question, how much energy or how many kilowatt hours does a given PV panel produce? So let's say, and under what circumstances? So for instance, there's a universal standard that says 1 square meter of a PV panel will produce something like, I've forgotten now off the top of my head, 900 watt hours, 900 watts under direct sunlight midday for an hour, 900 watt hours. Once you have an idea of what your panel can produce for energy, you've got to look at your battery like it's a gas tank. How much energy does your battery hold? Is it 4 kilowatt hours? Is it, 1 kilowatt hour? And then you got to say, okay, how long will it take for my panel to fill my battery through my charge controller, which has an inefficiency, right? It's going to lose some of the energy coming from the solar panel. These are really important, cool things to understand. How much energy can you harvest from the sun? And how much of that energy can you put into a battery and how much does it need? These are really big concepts. And that's a great project by itself, if you can speak to it when you're done. And I think you're on your way. But we should come up with a list of questions, right, for you to answer for yourself.
I think on that, it's important to establish what the acceptable criteria is, right, for a successful project. And Mike spoke to this, right, and maybe you look at it as if it's, midday direct sunlight, right, versus having to upsize when you're looking at a fully overcast day. But that'll be an important, component of your project. I think will be, establishing what that acceptable criteria is to be able to move that into the final, phase where you can establish whether you've had success or not. But yeah, really great. Like it.
One quick question. Why instead, we discussed the problems of the batteries overheating and being too hot after a flight. Couldn't you have a charge station that's automated to swap batteries instead of charge the one that's already in the drone? Because a lot of drones now have the quick connect batteries. You know what I mean? They slide in real easy. They slide out real easy. Could that be an option you're willing to explore?
Yeah, I think that could be an option, and I think that would definitely help the heating part. So, yeah, thank you.
Lots of directions this could go.
When flying, like I've flown like cheap like drones I got at like Walmart and stuff, and the batteries they don't last very long, and like it'll just drop, like the battery will run out and it'll just like kind of drop down. Are you gonna make it a way so you can kind of like when the drone gets like below a certain like battery like juice like threshold, it'll kind of home back down to the charging station, or will it just kind of drop?
So I was thinking more like if someone is like controlling the drone, they could fly either to the charging station, or it could have like some type of like pinpoint where it knows to go back to. So
I like that.
All right, nice job. Thanks, Bryson.
It's great to hear.
All right. Up next is Leo Carlin.
Hello, Sharks. My name's Leo Carlin, and I am presenting my senior project, Mirai, Mirror Intelligence for Recommendation and Interaction. So, the problem, and I'm sure it's one that we've all gone through, is that many people lack organizations in their morning routine. We all wake up to the sound of our alarm, we're a little discombobulated, we're like, oh, shoot, what time is it? Am I late? What do I wear? What am I going to have for breakfast? People are often unsure of what's going on around them, and they need to get out the door quickly, and many people need a simpler way to get through their morning routine. So this product is designed to people who need help getting a basic outfit for the day, whether you want unique or the basics of what you have in your wardrobe. People who want all their information in one convenient place that they can get in the morning, whether that be their news, their weather, time, date, etc. Or for night owls who have a difficult time waking up in the morning, who need an easier method of getting up. My solution is what is commonly known as a smart mirror or a magic mirror, as seen in this picture. It includes features such as a daily forecast, and mine will include AI user recognition through facial recognition, OpenCV modules, and profiling. It'll provide custom outfits based on weather and your personal wardrobe with gesture commands, so you can swipe to the left to switch to a different screen. Say, it opens up and it gets your little, good morning, your name, here's the weather for today. Swipe left to see the news, swipe right to see your outfit for the day, that kind of stuff. And there are ways to link this program to Google Calendar for notifications of events that might be coming up on that day. My partners, of course, Mr. Nielsen, who will help keep me on track and help with materials, tools, and other factors that are in the engineering classroom. Mr. Magno, he is our coding whiz here at North, and so he will help me a lot with the different AI aspects and for getting my different coding aspects fixed. And my father, Connor Carlin, who is experienced with AI tools. He just recently launched his own Theraform AI for the plastics industry. And of course, I plan on collaborating with my classmates for assistance and ideation. So some solution brainstorming here. I did some mind mapping with Mr. Magno where we developed a plan of action for prototyping. We settled on OpenCV for our facial recognition and gesture recognition software. And motion gestures weren't a part of the original idea, but because of this conversation, we decided to add them by looking at some examples. When I did rapid ideation with my dad, we researched different model AI products that have used Jetson hardware, which is the PCB board that I will be using for this project. You'll see that on a later slide. And we came to the conclusion that the code for this software is not going to be able to be copied from other projects. A lot of projects, like the typical Magic Mirror squared open source software that is used on Raspberry Pis, that is very modular, but it's not going to be applicable for this project because of the unique Jetson hardware and of the unique things that I want to do for this project. They just don't click as well as I originally thought they would be. So I'm going to have to create my own code. So basic time management right here. We have, of course, the famous Gantt chart. Mine is a little complete, but it hasn't been updated in a long time. And then the action item list with the template that Tommy made. I know me and a few others have been using it. So my design approach for this is coding in Python. The actual program that will run the facial recognition and the smart mirror display will be done in Python. The software and hardware, whatever you want to call it, this will be run on an NVIDIA Jetson Nano, which is a board that includes a CPU, I believe, which allows for AI modules to be run on it. And it has, like Raspberry Pis, a slot to allow a camera module, so I can use facial and image recognition to gather a live feed from the camera and, like draw the basic box around it. Could recognize, oh, this person's wearing a sweater, this person's wearing pants, this is this person, I recognize this person. Of course, this will be done using AI processing on the Jetson, but I also will be using, like Bocce, AI to help code this project because this is quite advanced, a little out of my wheelhouse, so I'm going to need some assistance to help understand more advanced processes like the image recognition for getting different models to look at, building the code and understanding it. And for general tools, this thing is going to be a mirror, like you saw in a few slides ago. So I'm going to need to make a frame for it. Going to need wood cutting tools and stains and things to make the mirror itself. So for prototyping, this is split into 4 major milestones I want to reach. Mark 1, which I'm still currently working on, is the initial facial recognition where the mounted camera is able to detect user faces and display them on the mirror. A basic like, hey, I know this person. And number 2, Mark 2, will be the user profiles where it can save a user that it recognizes. You walk up to and you'll be like, oh, yeah, you're this person. I've seen you this number of times. And it'll begin to start saving information based off them. Like if it starts noticing that, oh, you wear hoodies a lot, it'll take note of that. It'll list the outfits that you're wearing. Mark 3 will be the information display, where you saw like the initial picture of the magic mirror, where it had the weather and the date and the information. That will be mixed in with the facial recognition, so it'll all be in one convenient place instead of just a little window that pops up when I'm running the code of the facial recognition window. It'll all be together. Finally, Mark 4 will be the actual outfit recommendation. This is the most advanced part of it, and the most, if things do not go well, this is the part that is not the most needed. This is the fun part of it, where we are going to try to get to this part. If things don't go well, we want the facial recognition to be the most prominent part. But if we do get to this point, it is going to, the mirror itself is going to be able to recognize users, their fashion taste, and recommend outfits based on what it has seen you wear before. So prototyping, where we currently stand, I've spent a lot of time on ideation, figuring out how different aspects of the mirror will work and which programs to use, and working around these issues with the board, as the Jetson is not a super powerful board. I believe Mr. Nielsen bought this back in like 2019, so a lot of things that used to work on it back when it was modern currently are out of date, not currently running, or inaccessible. So I've been having to do a lot of workarounds to find different things to work. And the main efforts right now have been going towards getting basic facial recognition software running, like you saw in Mark 1. The results are currently nothing. Things keep going wrong. I keep running into wall after wall with the Jetson. I will, like for example, I tried to download OpenCV with basic, like the #1 like facial recognition Python software that is most commonly used, but that doesn't work. It's too recent, and the Jetson can't handle it. So I have to go to a more dated version, but I can't download that. The link's gone. So I have to go to another one. Oh, can't find it. Next one. And it keeps going down that train. And this takes hours at a time because this thing takes hours to download it. It's an old device. So hopefully I will have a prototype done by the end of Thanksgiving break. I really, really just want to get something working. So some criteria and constraints for this project. The cost. I don't want this project to exceed around $200, but mirrors are surprisingly expensive, and depending on how much the framing and mirror glass itself will cost, that will influence the price. Thankfully, I have not had to spend too much money on the actual hardware itself because Mr. Nielsen has graciously donated his Jetson to me to use for this project. The same goes for hardware limitations, as I've been saying. The Jetson cannot run certain programs, forcing me to use weaker, more local models that cannot connect to big online databases. And I hope for this project to deliver a final product that can recognize users and describe what they are wearing. Oh, can't go to the last one. The last one was just like a thank you for watching, but that's it.
All right. Any questions? Oh man, all the hands are up. We'll start at this side first.
So my question is related to the outfit recommendation part of your project. So when it recommends like an outfit based off style or previously worn outfits, is that like, is the computer system using like the information inputted by what's in your closet, or is it just like an outfit you might like?
So the initial idea was to have users be able to input, like take pictures of what's in their closet and upload that to the, like make a folder in the program that can draw from it and use like weather data and time data. But that's a bit too advanced for what this project is. Like, it's too advanced to be realistic. So what I'm aiming to do is have this, the AI facial recognition to be able to look at your whole body and take note of, over a period of time, what do you wear on cloudy days? What do you wear on cold days? You like to wear hoodies? Okay, we'll take that into note. What colors do you like to wear? Okay, this person will wear hoodies that are black on cold weather. It'll take snapshots of what you're wearing and assign a few criteria to them that it can then assign based on certain weather or time of day.
So it seems like you're having a lot of issues with the Jetson board, the old one. Is there a reason that you haven't, I'm not familiar with it, so is there a reason you haven't gone to a newer one or a different model to bypass these issues?
So the Jetson board, I don't really know how much Mr. Nielsen bought it for, but Jetson boards, like the modern Jetson Nano, I forget what the name is, goes for about $400 nowadays.
All right.
It's very expensive. A lot of PCB boards are expensive, and I'm trying to minimize costs. And this isn't supposed to be the most high-tech device of all time, so I'm okay with cutting corners a little bit. Cutting corners as in, like, it's not this grandiose idea that I had at the very beginning. It make it more realistic based on the hardware limitations, and I'm okay with making those few small sacrifices here and there.
Yeah, so kind of like piggybacking off that, I don't know too much about the need of a Jetson. These are not online uses you can have instead of having to code it off of something like whatever the Jetson is.
Do you mean like
you don't so you, the need for the Jetson is having the power of the AI. That's going to power the AI, right?
Yeah.
So is there not an online version of that you can use, or is it you have to use something physical?
Well, the idea is that this is going to be a standalone thing. Like, this Jetson board is going to hook up to a screen that is going to be able to, like, you can mount it on a wall or something in a room. If this is running based off of a website, then you need to have this, like, if it was like a PC, you could have like a PC run this program, but of course that'd be a lot more cumbersome to have installed to like a screen or like mount on a wall. I feel like the Jetson provides that convenience in the small package. Yeah, it's its own thing.
Can I just comment on that, just because it's cool? Yeah, so I wrote the exact same thing down that Oliver just said. And one of the things that junior year Project Lead the Way has you doing for AI is utilizing the Google's AI tool, which gets into image recognition using your webcam. So you mentioned having limitations of the horsepower of, you know, big computer, or somebody made a mention of this before, maybe it was Evan or somebody. But utilizing the power of the cloud and utilizing the power of the Google, since we have access to that tool, that could be an option. And now I've seen you guys breaking out these Raspberry Pis and use them as embedded computers, and they run web browsers and can do all this displaying, and that's a cheap computer right there. That's something to explore. So whoever's taking notes for you on action items, this is, I think, a good one to explore alternates to the Jetson if you're hitting your head against the wall so much.
Yeah.
So, and I think there are many different avenues you could go.
Yeah. I think the thing with the Jetson is just that it's marketed as something that can run AI because of the inclusion of a CPU, which allows for higher computing power. I'm not sure if modern Raspberry Pis, like a Pi 5 or a Pi 500, are able to, like, compete with that. Like, I don't know if a Pi 5 has a CPU or is
So
able
again,
to run high-level stuff.
my point was just, you said you didn't want to have a big PC. So instead of a PC, using a Raspberry Pi to be the computer that accesses the web, that accesses the big computer, that's doing all the AI
like
processing.
the middleman?
Specifically Google's AI engine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think of that. That's something to look into.
If you can download like just the CV library with all its packages formatted and everything, would you consider resorting to going to like the official documentation page and like downloading the raw C files that you can convert into Python, let's say, if you're using that, or just going and directly from Wikipedia, Stack Overflow, and different pages, learning how to measure gradients in pixels, learning how to apply Gaussian filters? Like, what is your backup plan?
If what doesn't work?
Downloading the CV, OpenCV
if downloading
library.
OpenCV doesn't work. I mean, I think the original OpenCV didn't work, and I've had to go into a lower version. I think it was like Onyx, like Microsoft Onyx. I think that's what I'm on right now, trying to get working. I mean, I didn't really think about what would happen if OpenCV didn't work, besides just looking for more options. But I guess if worse came to worse, I could either try to learn how to do code image recognition, or at that point it might be better to just move on past the Jetson if it can't handle even that much.
I need help understanding some of this. And I tend to oversimplify things. So the mirror, right? The actual mirror itself. You don't have to leave. Just say yes or no. I like that other slide better. Can you bring that last slide in? Thank you, because that's my prompt.
Yeah.
So that mirror is that a special piece of glass, or is that a mirror with a camera on it?
It's a one-way mirror, so it allows light to pass through one side, and then it will reflect what you look at, so light can pass through to like act as like a display.
And where does the light pass through to?
To the other side, like.
Right, and then what's on the other side?
Reflective. So one side is like a window you're looking through, and then the other side is like a mirror, so it's reflective. One side isn't, one side is.
And what is the advantage of that?
So it allows for, like, you could just make this like just a TV screen that displays this information, but I don't really know what to call it. The aesthetic of it is the fact that it's a mirror, so you can look at yourself as it's like an integration into your daily life. Like, everybody uses a mirror, but what if it did more? And I think that's the idea behind it, that you're integrating technology into an everyday thing.
Right, and what am I going to see in that other side that I don't see when I look in a mirror? Am I going to see the clothes that I should be wearing put on me? But what am I going to be seeing?
So on the other side of the mirror is the screen. Like, if I had a TV, I would put the one-way mirror onto it, so that way the TV screen is just shining through, but then light coming onto that screen is just reflected off. So everything behind the screen is just
okay, so I'm missing that. We'll have a sidebar later.
Sure.
and I'm sorry about that. But I'm thinking that basically if you want to get something working, demonstrating the concept, you get a mirror with a camera on it, and the camera is tied to a weather station on the internet and says it's raining out, so it says, Mike, that's me. Put on your rubbers before you go out. I mean, just, start with something that's simple and then integrate more and more into it.
Yeah.
Is all I'm saying. I want to counsel everybody in the room to start really small and build on small steps.
Yeah.
Okay, rather than start with some grandiose idea that's in the middle of it, you say, I can't do this, now what am I going to do? And then you default to, well, I tried hard, it didn't work. And I'm not saying you're going to do that, but this does happen.
Yeah.
So, again, I'm trying to understand that, Maren. Maybe you can explain it better to me. It's my own limitations that
Yeah,
I'm
that's
not
fine.
understanding.
And that was the idea behind like the different, like the 4 different steps here. Just start with the basic facial recognition because that's like the selling point of the whole thing. Then you move into the display aspect, which is more simple, and I've done that before with a basic magic mirror last year. Yeah, that's the idea.
Cool. Anybody else? All right. Thanks, Leo. All right, last presentation of the day, Liam Joyce.
Hello, everybody. My senior project is called Line Drive. It will be an affordable automated painting system. A little bit about me before I present. I'm a student athlete here at Plymouth North. I play both football and lacrosse, and on the weekends I ref flag football. How I figured out the problem of painting lines on youth sports fields is slow, labor-intensive, and often inconsistent. From my experience as a referee and former athlete, manually tracing every line is a waste of time and effort. As I see on any sports fields, I'll just use sports fields as an example, the lines are very dim, very hard to see. If you're playing a sport, I remember my youth days, can't see what's in, what's out. As a referee, I'm trying to help the kids, see what's in and out. And I asked my boss, why aren't the lines so bright? Why aren't they done every week? And he simply told me it's just too much time and too much effort. So my design statement is to solve the labor-intensive, time-consuming process of painting sports fields in Plymouth, I'll design an affordable, fully automated line painting machine. This system will cut manual labor, save time, and produce consistent, visible field markings, providing a cost-efficient improvement for local athletes, referees, and sports staff. Target audience for this, sports fields owners, the youth department, coaches, referees, athletic directors. It's really for the local communities, as there are products out there in a much bigger scale to make much bigger fields. This can work, I imagine, on grass and turf, but my main target is the grass part of it. Team resource, myself, I'm main leader of this whole operation. Mr. Nielsen, great teacher. He'll answer any questions I may have about any roadblocks along the way. My peers, Evan and Dylan, both great classmates, both into the software, as we know, and they will help me with any information I may have, any questions I have through anything, really. Sam Botel, that's my boss. He's the head of the youth athletic department, and he will be basically my target audience, kind of. He's the guy that I'm going to go to this, and hopefully it can give him for, not as a gift, but as, I don't know, a help. In the Department of Forges Fields, Sam has actually reached out to him already to see how they get their paint, how the materials through it. and that will help with the cost of the price of paint, because actually, as I found out, it is quite expensive, so I'd love to figure out how they acquire that. My brainstorming, I used 2 different brainstorming techniques. I used the scamper and the reverse brainstorming. Activity went pretty well. I worked for the reverse brainstorming and the scamper with actually my coworkers. During half times of the games, we started shooting ideas to each other. We came up with 3 Turf Tank GPS copy. So Turf Tank is a previously available machine. However, it is $3,000 if you want to purchase one, and it's only used by the main big leagues like the NFL, MLS, all these major sports brands who have the money to do this. Remote controlled, I thought it would be quite fun to just drive around a little machine, paint lines yourself, almost like a video game. But that, again, takes time, and you gotta be focusing, making sure all the lines are straight, and it didn't really seem practical. On a long, narrow base on the actual chassis itself to help paint lines more straight and narrower. Prototyping. So for my prototyping, on the left here you'll see the Turf Tank. This is a very effective machine, as I said, but it is very expensive. I focused for my prototyping on what I was least familiar with. I was not too familiar with the fact on how the lines actually get painted itself. Like, where does it come out of? How does it do it? I watched many YouTube videos on how the Turf Tank actually works. There's very complicated. It's an app. You just press a button. I can't do all that. I can't make a whole app. I'm being realistic here. So I went and I looked at the handheld versions of how they work, and it uses pretty much the same idea of the prototype here. It's a little hole at the top to hold the paint canister with wheels on the side, and there's a little attachment on the left to attach to my actual chassis. It's a much smaller version of what I plan to incorporate into my design, but that's the premise of it. It will perfectly mark a yard, perfectly straight, and the boundaries are the wheels so it can keep going. Gantt chart. Here's a rough idea of my schedule. This has been quite a big help, really, because it outlines my whole year in engineering, and it will keep me on pace for any roadblocks come in the way. I know what needs to get done next, which goes along with the action item list. This is extremely helpful because, as I said before, student athlete, very busy. I tend to lack, try to get sidetracked. This keeps me on track. This, I put three tasks in a week. I get them done. I need to get them done. No excuse besides that. If we hit a roadblock, we move on to the next one, and we just bring it up in later issues when I have more time. The design approach. All right, so for the design approach, I've been making the on-shape models that you saw for the prototype. I actually got handed down a chassis from a previous design last year. This person's project last year, or maybe years before, I'm not too sure, was to make a machine that dumped out salt along sidewalks for clear streets. With that, I have to learn all about this new chassis and adjust it to how it works for my project. As I said before, through the brainstorming technique, the GPS system, I want to add that into my part so it can just be its own little robot, and you can have the free time to just watch it work, and you can get other stuff done as well. I have to order parts for the software and the hardware itself and work on the drive system itself. The design base, so on the left here, you'll see the chassis that I got passed down to me. As I said before, it was to spray on sidewalks, and this is the base of my project. I really need to tone in on how everything works itself right now, and all the parts I need to remove and add, and how it will adjust to the GPS system I plan to install into this. Scheduling, prototype, and milestones. The schedule improves my initial concept design, prototyping phase, and everything. By December break, I broke it up into the breaks we have along the year, because I feel like those breaks I should be able to enjoy and not have to work. But I have those breaks in case I'm behind, and I do need to make up the work so I can keep on pace. So by December break, I need to adjust the chassis completely and have all new parts ordered as well as received. Hope to order them before December break, and I guaranteed just 2-week December break this year. Luckily, I'll have them by the end of that break. By February break, I have the GPS system installed into the machine, and the robot can move on its own. By April break, install the paint system into the machine and make it work alongside the GPS system. Come March, I will work on any tweaks that is needed in the remaining time. The completion date for this project, I've made the first week of March, leaving me enough room if I do fall behind to have a good month to work on anything that goes wrong. All right, I got my constraints and criteria. Constraints must stay below a budget of $300. Project must be fully completed by the month of May. It must be easy to start up and shouldn't be a troublesome task. This should be for any youth department referee, student that works as a referee. Should be an easy task to do. Shouldn't be troublesome at all. Criteria: project must be fully movable with the use of a GPS system to navigate. Robot must paint a rectangle the same size as a flag football end zone. If it can do that, it can make perfectly straight lines, 2 end zones. That's all you need for a flag football field. And must be able to work on both grass alongside turf fields. Lastly, my conclusion. This project addresses a critical need for the cost-effective automated field line painting tailored for small communities. By reducing manual labor and improving marking quality, it supports youth sports development in Plymouth. The plan design, team collaboration, and phased prototyping provides a strong foundation for delivering a successful practical solution. For this project, I'm aiming for $200, but I said $300 in the previous slide, just to give me it's a big area, $100 minus or add, just to work with. Because I don't know, stuff goes wrong all the time, as we can see through just my years of engineering, and you just got to account for the mistakes that can be made. That is all.
Here we go. Questions?
So I was just questioning the kind of the broader scope. Would this be able to paint lines for other sports such as soccer or lacrosse, or is it just honed in on your football?
I'm just honing in on the football part of things because I figured it's one of the easier fields to make. It's straight lines, Lacrosse, you got the round edges. I'm just trying to stick to one task. If it does go successful, look into the other sports that I may possibly have.
I know on some fields, for example, forges, they're not amazing, and there's a lot of bumps on them. How are you going to make sure the bumps don't knock the robot off course?
That's what in my brainstorming technique, me and my coworkers, we thought about that because we're on the field all the time. It's bumpy. This chassis that I got given to me, it has 6 wheels total. It's a pretty sturdy robot. Yes, there's going to be bumps along the edges, but I think it'll.
Are you planning on mapping the fields and stuff like that? Are you planning on GPS, a drone or something?
So is this going to be an automated robot, or is this going to be a controller type thing? I also said, just for a tip for the terrain, I mean, it's pretty easy to build a simple, maybe a suspension system to try and reduce the unevenness, I guess. Make sure it stays in a straight line, so that could be something to look into.
So again, I'm going to use you and share a thought for everybody. Is that fair? I want you all to pretend, okay, this is November and we're going to go to May, right? December, January, February, March, April, May. There's 7 months I count, right? So let's imagine that we're going to go across the desert for a 7-month journey. And we have a backpack and we want to bring our phone, maybe our pad, our Apple iPad or whatever you have, and all the batteries you need to run it because there's no place to charge it. And you want to bring all the food you need. Of course, you want to bring all the water you need and all the clothes you're going to need, and maybe some other things. And as you walk across this desert, the heat's going to get to you, and it's going to make you start throwing things away, because you're not going to make it across the desert if you got to carry all the batteries for your phone. So you throw the phone away first. Do you know where I'm going with this? Does this make sense? Okay, the analogy isn't perfect, but it's good enough. So what I'm going to challenge, I didn't get your name, I'm sorry, on the first, what is it? Liam, thank you, Liam. I didn't get the name on the first slide. That was my bad, I'm sorry. So what I'm going to challenge you to do is, the next time we see you, when will that be, Mr. Nielsen? Yeah, okay, good. But certainly for the day that we present in May. What I'm going to challenge you with, you show me a robot that you made that can, are you going to use spray paint? Yeah, right. It runs off an aerosol can. So you show me a working robot that can run a perfectly straight line for 360 feet, which I think is the length of a football field from the end of one end zone to the end of the other. You show me a robot that'll go 360 feet on a straight line on an athletic field, and paint that line, and I say that you deserve an A+. Crowd goes wild. Right. Crowd goes wild. Okay, you get that done. Don't worry about all the other stuff you talked about. Unpack that bag before you go across the desert. All right? Yes, it's the best advice I can give you, and I want you to please internalize that, all right?
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, basically he said it. It seems to me like you got two big projects going on here. That GPS thing seems like one whole project to make a robot drive around a field autonomously, and then to make a robot drive around painting lines, even if you were pushing buttons to make it paint lines, seems like that would be a whole. Seems like you got two big projects here. I mean, your big appetite. So you might want to decipher really where you want to go, because like I said, to get a robot to run around a field by itself and even just run straight lines without painting is one thing, and then getting something to paint straight lines is a whole other thing. So very ambitious. You might want to give that some thought.
Yeah, very lofty. Of course, you've got a lot packed in here. Simplify now while you can, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's sort of part of the message. And maybe look at some alternatives if you can even get the robot right to go in a straight line. To GPS control, maybe something more simple like a buried inductive wire or something like that, right? Try to simplify the idea moving forward so that you can sort of dull down some of the big project. Nice job.
I was going to mention the lasers as well. GPS, it sounds like the professional one does that, but I don't know what the range of GPS now is, like the accuracy, but it's probably like plus or minus a couple of feet at least. So, let's say you had this all figured out and it was going to a GPS location 100 yards over there. It still might be crooked because, it's identifying GPS location, but it has some error associated with that. So some sort of like, I think you're repainting existing lines versus doing a brand new field. So you know where the corners are. I don't know if you could put like a beacon down that used a laser system or something, or, just try to, as everybody else mentioned, just bite off a smaller chunk and just have it try to go as straight as possible, and you can aim it and kind of adjust it here and there.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, so again, just to wrap this up and recap, it's like beating a dead horse in a way, saying it, but I think you guys are going to be feeling so much success if you walk out of this room and go home and really dig deep into what can you do. Again, this was the idea behind the prototyping, right? Is what is my learning objective? How can I measure that I achieved what I set out to do? And is it within the time frame that I can do it, right? So I liked what you had in there in terms of, we talked about these milestones of breaks coming up, because that's like go hard and then rest, go hard, then go rest. So we all need to think about what does success look like to us before we go home for Christmas break, right? What is that gonna look like? And for you, on this particular project, when I saw this idea, it was like, great, you know, this is way hard, right? But I showed him, I was like, look, a student wanted to do something similar, and they spent the entire senior year building a chassis, a kit, right? Getting that operational via remote control, and then maybe another month creating a bucket system to spray some saline solution onto the ground. But it was all remote control. I'm like, this is a great starting point if we're gonna take projects and go forward with them, to automate that, because that was his vision, was how can I make this automatedly run around the sidewalks. Now you're like a year ahead with that, right? So take that and automate it. That alone, like Mr. Bastoni said, that to go in a straight line and do it accurately, that's enough, right? That's gonna take you a couple of months to work out, right? If we just make that the focus. So everybody's gotta pick that focus, right? We have some really, really cool projects this year, really cool ideas, and I'm just excited. I'm so excited that you guys were here to see half the story. Check out the YouTube for the other half if you didn't already get a chance to see it. Mr. Long, thanks for being here. And nice job, Liam. Give you a round of applause.
Thank you.
And can we just give another huge thank you to these guys for being here? It's a huge. And as I mentioned to you guys, I know we got the bell. I'm going to talk more with Mr. Walsh and the advisory team about how can we get their information to you so we can reach out and connect. So that's in process. Have a great day.